Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so similar to last time I was doing laundry, I went down there and it wasn't quite done, so I got about 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes to make a waste some time. So I figured I'd make a video. And today, I just want to talk a little bit of the Lakers. Of course, we've been eliminated now for a couple of days. It's going to be a very long off season, but I think it could be a very fruitful one if people dig in and focus, on improving the team, on taking care of what their individual responsibilities are, each and every person. From what I understand, or what I saw was Luka Don coming out of a restaurant. It was said that Rob Pelinka was there. I didn't see Rob myself, but it was said that they were coming out of a restaurant or something like that. They'd been talking about whatever they were talking about, and it's assumed that they were discussing a potential extension that set Luka into being a Laker for a couple of years at like 200 plus million bucks, which is obviously money he deserved. He deserved much more than that from Dallas, but we're only able to give him two something. And I was listening to some people talking about Luka, and you know, a couple of them were echoing the sentiments I said about him needing to get in shape, and they, some were talking about the team and how bad we looked at the end of the series, and how disappointed they were in just the overall Laker display, I guess, in the series against Minnesota. What comes to mind for me in this situation as I communicate with y'all is I, first of all, have no doubt that Luka Don is a top 5 player and should continue to be considered that um, in that range, because of course guys are always ascending and descending left and right, so nobody's locked into that space, but he's in that range at all times, I think, for his talent. But I had a dark thought came to mind to me as a Laker fan and as somebody who tries to put himself in the front office's position. It's a dark thought because it brings a realization to the table that I don't think anybody really wants to deal with. And that is, if Luka the Don doesn't get in shape and doesn't find himself being um, a healthy player, is the risk of him not being who he needs to be and what we have going on with our asset class, potentially with LeBron James likely to retire in our uniform, can we afford to have Luka the Don not be at his best as a long-term investment into being our number one player? And I think it's a low risk when you consider what he's going to be signing toward, like 226. If push come to shove where you have to move Luka, assuming he doesn't have some type of catastrophic injury that takes away his entire ability to play on some Joel Embiid type stuff, then you obviously expect that you should be able to move him if for some reason you decide to. At that price tag, it shouldn't be held to move him if you have to. But the question, the dark thought that came to mind was, at the price tag that he's at right now before he signs, before the extension, is there a world where the Lakers are better off trading him right now and locking in his value pre-signing, which is likely worth 1,000,000 picks? For our specific situation, if we're going to build something around him that ain't going to win, which has nothing to do with him and him staying in shape, or if he's not going to stay in shape and we can't win because of that. With LeBron retiring and being worth half of what it is that we have, retiring whenever he decides to, but retiring in our uniform as it pertains to him not being realized in returning assets for his absence. And understanding that that's a loss that you're going to take, and it's a massive one. Are you going to be able to build a championship team around Luka Doncic with that being the case? Or would you be better off cashing out on Luka Doncic that can realize his current value, which is a resetting amount of assets that can maybe even cover your situation as it pertains to LeBron James retiring in uniform, because you got him at half the price and you're trading him away before he signed for any damn thing? Can the Lakers afford to risk him not being a good signing with LeBron James potentially value going out the window? when it's time, as I've already discussed. Will you be able to put something around Luka that can win, or is he going to want to move anyway? And is he not more valuable right now to move if you decide to do that? Essentially what I'm saying is, with the Lakers being as they are, is it not reasonable for one to ask, when thinking about the health of the franchise, if it's not responsible to actually move Luka right now? Trade him for all the picks in the world and just reset your situation. Now, you got a top 5 player, you say the answer is no. And most of us love Luka. We are going to automatically say no. That's why I call it a dark thought. But if he doesn't come back healthy, if he doesn't come back in shape and continues to have issues, when you couple that current conditioning that he's in that's not very good, and you couple the idea that LeBron could leave and you don't have enough to build enough, your team is really going to suck, man. And he's probably going to want to leave then, or he's going to be asked to do too much to carry the team, and he's not going to be in that type of shape to do so. When you're talking about investing in a number one guy, a guy who may not be in the greatest of shape, who may not have the intention to get in the greatest of shape, and you're saying that half of what it is going to make his team strong is potentially not going to be present because the number 2 is going to retire in the uniform, now you're asking a body who's not in shape to carry dead weight to a championship. He couldn't do that with LeBron this season. You think he's going to be able to do it without LeBron, whatever season that would be? This is something that I have to be honest with myself about, which is why I really genuinely believe the Lakers need to trade LeBron James so that that risk is not in place. So that if you do stay in business with Luka the Don and he doesn't get in great shape or doesn't turn out to be all this or that he's supposed to be, at least the rest of what it is you're working with to build your team is enough to give you a really good team. Because if LeBron retires tomorrow, next year, whenever he does, and you don't have 6 and 7 players or young picks or whatever coming back in his stead, now that's not going to be recovered. That's going poof into thin air. You don't have nothing to show for that. And one of the reasons why our team was so bad this year is because we've had so much of our value dissipate. So as I talk about the Lakers and how they hit the jackpot, trading for Luka the Don for the price tag that they did, it's only realized if he's able to come back and be his absolute best, and obviously first re-sign with us, because if he walks, clearly that's a disaster beyond what it is we've been discussing. But assuming he's ready to sign this contract, we have him on contract, and then he's able to play as he's supposed to play, not only well enough to carry us right now while we still have LeBron if he does resign himself, but in the event that he leaves, Luka's able to be a one-man band that can carry, absent whatever LeBron is worth, coupled with whatever else we have, to a championship or to the playoffs or whatever people's goals are for that ceiling. And not to mention that we're likely going to give away picks, try to bring him a center. You're probably going to give away your pick swaps and your 3 picks over the next 2 years, try to bring him some pieces. If none of those pieces are going to be even close to what LeBron is worth, then you're still working at a deficit or at clear even as it pertains to your asset class. Clear even meaning on average with everybody else. I do think we might have drawn even by trading so little to get so much in regards to the Luka trade, but Luka getting hurt and LeBron retiring could spell disaster for a long time. Or Luka leaving and not signing this 226 could be disaster for a long time. So with your situation being as it is, Lakers, the question I have to ask as a responsible fan for the future of our franchise is, can we afford to live with the risk of Luka not getting in shape and realizing his potential in our uniform, maybe having to retire early on some Joel Embiid stuff, maybe deciding he doesn't want to be here and walking? Can we afford any of those things to happen without it being absolutely disastrous for our franchise? Now, the solution to all of this, if things go absolutely wrong, is always free agency. Because that's when something comes into your situation that you didn't have to send anything out for, which is basically what we're talking about. LeBron James retires, Giannis signs, and then suddenly LeBron's value has been recouped by the presence of another super duper star. But if you don't have that free agency work in your favor, or you're only able to get B-level, C-level guys when LeBron leaves, that value's gone. LeBron's value is now officially in the dark timeline for what we're talking about. So, can this franchise afford for Luka not to be his absolute best going forward? Can we afford to actually even take that risk? It's not even about whether or not you're believing that Luka's going to get in shape or not get in shape, or that he doesn't get in shape is going to lead to injuries or what have you. It's not about whether or not you're betting either way. Can you afford to allow the risk to even be possible based on your situation? Is what I have to ask. So that's pretty much what I got to say, man. I got to go get my clothes now. Like I said, I don't like these circumstances. I really don't. I prefer not to have to think about any of this. But as I think about what's going to leave my team being absolutely terrible and fully relying upon free agency to save us, I wonder if the Lakers, particularly as a franchise, based on their circumstances, can afford to allow certain things to be possible. BDL 44, I thank you all for watching. I'm out.